Okay, we're going to continue on today. This is the Apocrypha, the first book of Ezra the priest, chapter 3, verse 9. When the king wakes up, they will give him the writing, and one who chooses the king and the three princes of Persia will judge the wisest shall be considered the victor in what was written. The first he wrote, wine is strongest. The second one wrote, the king is strongest. And the third wrote, women are the strongest, but truth prevails over everything. So when the king awoke, they took the writings and gave it to him, and he read it. Then he sent and summoned all the nobles of Persia and Media, and the governors and officers and magistrates and officials. And he took his seat in the council chamber, and what was written was read before them. And he said, summon the young men and let them show their reasons. And they were summoned and came in, and they said to them, explain to us about what you have written. So the first one, who had told the strength of wine, began and said, gentlemen, how extremely strong wine is. It leads the minds to all who drink it astray. It makes the mind of the king and the mind of the fatherless child alike, the mind of a menial and the freeman, of the poor and the rich. It turns every thought to myrrh and merrymaking, and forgets all grief and debt. It makes all hearts rich, and forgets kings and governors, and makes everybody talk in thousands. And when they drink, they forget to be friendly to friends and brothers, and very soon they draw swords. And when they recover from the wine, they cannot remember what they have done. Gentlemen, is not wine supremely strong, since it forces them to act so? When he had said this, he stopped. Then the second, who had told of the king's might, began to speak. Gentlemen, are not men strongest because they control land and sea and all that is in them? But the king is supremely strong and is Lord and master of them, and every command he gives them they obey. If he orders them to make war on one another, they go. And if he sends them out against the enemy, they go and surmount mountains, walls, and towers. They kill and are killed, but they do not disobey the king's command. And if they are victorious, they bring everything to the king, the spoils they take, and all the rest. And those who do not go to war or fight, but till the soil again, when they sow and reap, bring it to the king. And they compel one another to pay taxes to the king. He is only one man, but if he orders them to kill, they kill. And if he orders them to release, they release. If he orders them to strike down, they strike. If he orders them to lay waste, they lay waste. And if he orders them to build, they build. If he orders them to cut down, they cut down. If he orders them to plant, they plant. So all his people and his troops obey him. Besides, he reclines at table. He eats and drinks and sleeps, and they keep watch about him. And they cannot any of them go away and look after their own affairs, or disobey him at all. Gentlemen, how can the king not be the strongest when he is obeyed? And he stopped. Then the third, who had spoken of women and of truth, his name was Zerubbabel, began to speak. Gentlemen, is not the king great? And are not men many? And is not wine strong? Who is it then that rules over them and masters them? Is it not women? Women have borne the king and all the people, who are lords of sea and land. From them they are sprung, and they brought them up to plant the vineyards, and for which the wine comes. They make men's clothes, they make men's splendor, and men cannot exist without women. Why, if men amass gold and silver and everything of beauty, and then see one woman remarkable for looks and beauty, let all these things go, and gape at her, and stare at her with open mouths, and would all rather have her than gold or silver or anything of beauty. A man will leave his own father, who brought him up, and his own country, and be united to his wife. With his wife he ends his days, and remembers neither his father nor his mother nor his country. Hence you must recognize that women rule over men. Do you not toil and labor and bring it all and give it to your wives? A man takes his sword and goes out on expeditions to rob and steal and to sail the sea and the rivers. He faces the lion and walks in darkness. And when he steals and robs and plunders, he brings it back to the women he loves. So if a man loves his wife better than his father or mother, many have lost their heads completely for the sake of women and become slaves for their sakes. Many have perished or failed or sinned for the sake of women. Now do you not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all lands fear even to touch him? Yet I have seen him with Apan, the king's concubine, the daughter of the noble Bartuchus, sitting at the king's right hand, and taking the crown from the king's head, and putting it on her head, and she slapped the king with her left hand. At this the king stared at her open-mouthed. If she smiled at him, he laughed. If she grew angry at him, he flattered her, so that she might be reconciled to him again. Gentlemen, how can women not be mighty when they act like that? And the king and the nobles looked at one another, and he began to speak about truth. Gentlemen, are not women mighty? The earth is vast, and heaven is high, and the sun is swift in its course. For he circles about the heavens and hastens back to his own starting point in a single day. Is he not great who does these things? So truth is great and mightier than all other things. The whole earth calls upon truth, and heaven blesses her. All his works quake and tremble, and there is no wrongdoing with him. Wine is not upright, the king is not upright, women are not all upright. All the sons of men are not upright, and all their doings, all such things, are not upright. There is no truth in them, and through their unrighteousness they will perish. But truth endures, and it is strong forever, and lives and reigns forever and ever. There is no partiality or preference with her, but she does what is right rather than all that is wrong and wicked. All men approve her doings, and there is no injustice in her judgment. To her belongs power and royal dignity, and the authority and majesty in all ages. Blessed be the God of truth. When he stopped speaking, all the people shouted and said, Truth is great and supremely strong. Then the king said to him, Ask whatever you please beyond what is written here, and we will give it to you, since you have been found the wisest. You shall sit next to me and be called my kinsman. Then he said to the king, Remember the vow that you made the day you succeeded to your throne, to rebuild Jerusalem and to send back all the dishes taken from Jerusalem, which Cyrus set aside, when he vowed to destroy Babylon and to send them back there.